No one dared to approach the widowed boss until the cleaning lady's daughter did. Michael Thompson had become a shadow of his former self after losing his wife 2 years ago. The 44-year-old executive, once known for his firm but fair demeanor, was now feared by all the employees at the construction company he ran in downtown New York City. It was on an ordinary Thursday afternoon that little Emily, just 5 years old, burst into his office holding a melted chocolate popsicle. The girl with light brown curly hair and big expressive eyes extended the sticky treat to him with an innocent smile. "Mister, you look really sad. Do you want my popsicle?" she said, completely ignoring the heavy atmosphere in the room. Michael froze, staring into those brown eyes that reminded him so much of Sarah, his wife. The explosive reaction everyone expected never came. He just stood there, motionless, as the popsicle dripped onto the Persian rug in his office. "Emily, oh my goodness, where are you?" Jennifer's panicked voice echoed down the hallway. The 38-year-old cleaning lady appeared at the office door, her eyes wide with fear. Jennifer had worked at the company for 3 years, always discreet, always efficient, and had never had any issues. Now she saw her daughter offering a melted popsicle to the most feared man in the building. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Thompson. She ran off on me. Emily, come here right now." Jennifer moved to grab her daughter, but Michael raised his hand to stop her. The silence stretched on for long seconds. Rachel, his secretary, who had worked with Michael for over 10 years, watched everything from the doorway, ready to call security if needed. But something different was happening in that moment. Michael slowly crouched down to the little girl's height and, to everyone's shock, accepted the sticky popsicle, which immediately stained his $5,000 Italian suit. "Thank you, Emily," he said in a voice no one had heard in a long time, a voice that was almost human. Jennifer stood speechless. Rachel had to lean against the wall for support. Emily just smiled even wider and ran back to her mother, satisfied that she'd accomplished her mission of cheering up the sad mister. "Jennifer, you can go back to your work," Michael said, returning to his desk, still holding the popsicle as it melted between his fingers. That night, Michael stayed late at the office, as he always did, to avoid going back to his empty home. But this time, instead of reviewing reports, he found himself staring at the chocolate stain on the rug. A stain that should have annoyed him, but for some reason made him feel less alone. The next morning, Rachel noticed something different. Michael had left his office door slightly ajar, something he hadn't done in months. All morning, he seemed more relaxed, as if waiting for something. Around 2 in the afternoon, Emily appeared again. This time she carried a crayon drawing. "Mister, I made this for you," she said, walking into the office without hesitation and placing the paper on his desk. The drawing showed 2 figures, one big, one small, both smiling under a yellow sun. Michael picked up the paper carefully, as if it were the most important document he'd ever received. "It's very beautiful, Emily. Thank you. Mommy said you lost your family, and that's why you're sad. But now you have me and Mommy as friends," she said with the brutal simplicity only children possess. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Michael felt a tightness in his chest, not from pain, but from something he'd forgotten existed. Hope, perhaps, or just the feeling that he wasn't completely alone in the world. "Emily, come here." Jennifer appeared again, but this time Michael gestured for her to enter. "It's no problem, Jennifer. Emily can come here whenever she wants." Jennifer hesitated, unsure whether to believe what she was hearing. The Michael Thompson she knew from the hallways was a reserved man, always serious, speaking only when necessary. This Michael in front of her seemed different. "Are you sure, Mr. Thompson? I know she can be a handful." "She's not a handful," Michael interrupted, watching Emily play with the paper clips on his desk. "In fact, she reminds me that there are still good things in the world." Those words echoed in Jennifer's mind for the rest of the day. She had raised Emily alone since discovering her pregnancy at 33. The girl's father had vanished upon hearing the news, and ever since, Jennifer had fought to give her daughter the best. Working at Michael's company had been a blessing. The pay was good, the benefits fair, and she could bring Emily to work during school breaks. But she had always kept her distance from everyone, especially the boss, who had a reputation for being ruthless in business. Now, watching her daughter play peacefully in his office while she cleaned the other floors, Jennifer wondered if she had judged Michael too hastily. In the days that followed, an unusual routine took shape. Emily visited Michael every day, always with some improvised gift, a drawing, a flower she'd picked from the building garden, or simply her cheerful, chatty presence. Michael, in turn, began keeping small treats in his desk drawer. First, there were candies Rachel had brought. Later, he bought special chocolates for kids himself. Within a week, his executive drawer had transformed into a little treasure trove for Emily. The staff began noticing subtle changes. Michael no longer shouted during meetings. His email replies were less curt. During a presentation with investors, he even smiled when mentioning the company's future projects. "Rachel, what's happening with Mr. Thompson?" asked Felicia, one of the firm's senior architects. "I'm not sure," Rachel replied, but her gaze automatically drifted toward the office where Emily's laughter could be heard. "I think he's healing." The healing, however, wasn't a linear process. Michael still had difficult days, especially when something reminded him of Sarah. On those occasions, he withdrew even further, and Emily seemed to sense it instinctively. One such melancholy afternoon, Michael was looking at a photo of Sarah he kept hidden in his drawer when Emily walked into the office. She saw him holding the picture and approached curiously. "Who's that, Mr. Michael?" "She was my wife, Sarah," he answered, surprised he could speak about her without the usual pain. "She's pretty. Why isn't she here anymore?" Michael took a deep breath. How do you explain to a 5-year-old concepts he himself still struggled to accept? "She had to go to a place very far away, but she loved me very much, and I loved her." Emily thought for a moment. Then, with the inexplicable wisdom of children, she said, "Mommy says when someone we love goes away, they keep living in our hearts, so she's still here." Emily pointed to his chest. Michael felt his eyes well up. It was the first time in 2 years someone had spoken about Sarah in a way that didn't make him feel worse. "You're very smart, Emily." "Mommy always says that," she laughed, climbing onto the visitor's chair as if it were her own. Meanwhile, Jennifer watched from afar the changes unfolding in both Michael and Emily. The girl had always been a happy child, but lately she seemed even more radiant. She constantly talked about Mr. Thompson and how he was becoming less sad. For Jennifer, who had raised her daughter alone, seeing Emily connect with a father figure, even an unofficial one, stirred conflicting emotions. On one hand, she was happy to see her daughter so excited. On the other, she feared Emily might grow too attached and end up disappointed. Her worries grew when Emily started drawing Michael in all her school assignments. The teacher even mentioned during a parent-teacher meeting, "Emily talks a lot about a Mr. Thompson. He seems very important to her." "It's complicated," Jennifer replied, unsure how to explain the situation. What Jennifer didn't know was that Michael was also going through his own complex inner journey. For the first time since Sarah's departure, he found himself thinking about the future beyond work. He began paying attention to things he'd neglected, what he was eating, whether he was sleeping enough, if he was taking care of himself. One morning, while shaving, Michael realized he was humming a tune Emily had sung to him the day before. The discovery startled him. When was the last time he'd sung? When was the last time he'd felt light? At work, the changes became more noticeable as Michael started participating more actively in team meetings. Before, he'd just listen to reports and make dry decisions. Now he asked questions, offered suggestions, and even praised good work. "Mr. Thompson seems different," commented Charles, one of the senior engineers, during lunch. "Yesterday, he asked about my family. In 10 years working here, that was the first time." "I noticed too," said Amanda from the finance department. "He even laughed at Junior's joke in the meeting. Never thought I'd see that." Yet the changes also brought new challenges. Michael began questioning what was happening to him. Would it be fair to Sarah's memory to grow fond of someone else, even if it was a child? Was he betraying the love he had for his wife? These doubts deepened during an important meeting with Japanese investors. In the middle of his presentation about the new residential complex the company was developing, Emily walked into the office unannounced, as had become her habit. "Mr. Thompson, look what I brought you." She ran to him, holding a chocolate fudge ball she'd made with her mother. The room fell into awkward silence. The 5 investors stared at the scene in surprise, while Michael was torn between professional embarrassment and genuine joy at seeing Emily. For what felt like an eternity, he considered asking Jennifer to take the girl away. But then he looked at the messy treat in her small, dirty hands, at Emily's hopeful smile, and made a decision that surprised even himself. "Apologies for the interruption," he told the investors. "This is Emily. Emily, these are our guests from Japan." With the confidence only children possess, Emily waved at the stern men and offered the fudge ball to Michael in front of everyone. "Thank you, Emily. It's delicious," he said, tasting the treat even with melted chocolate on his fingers. To everyone's surprise, the Japanese investors smiled. The eldest of the group said something in Japanese, and the others laughed. The translator explained, "He said a company where the boss has time for children is a company that thinks about the future." Michael was relieved, but the incident made him reflect on the boundaries of his relationship with Emily. How far could this go? What did people think? And most importantly, what was truly best for the girl herself? These worries grew stronger when Michael began noticing how Emily treated him. She had started asking if he would be there the next day, if he liked spending time with her, if he thought she was a good girl. Questions that revealed an attachment perhaps deeper than he had realized. One afternoon, after Emily left the office, Michael called Jennifer for a talk. "Jennifer, I need to talk to you about Emily." Jennifer's heart raced. The moment she had feared had finally come. Michael had grown tired of her daughter's presence and was going to ask her not to come back. "Yes, Mr. Thompson, if Emily is bothering you, I can—" "It's not that," he interrupted. "Actually, it's the opposite. I'm worried because Emily seems to be growing very attached to me, and I don't know if it's good for her." Jennifer was surprised by Michael's sincerity. She had expected professional detachment, but found genuine concern for her daughter's well-being. "Mr. Thompson, can I be honest? Please." Emily never knew her father. Since she was born, it's just been the two of us. Seeing her connect with a father figure, it's something I've always wanted for her, but it also scares me. Michael nodded, understanding Jennifer's dilemma perfectly. "And you? What do you think about all this?" he asked. Jennifer hesitated. How could she tell her boss she had noticed the changes in him? How could she explain that she saw not just the successful executive, but a lonely man learning to live again? "I think you're both helping each other," she finally said. "Emily is happier than ever, and you, well, you seem more human." The word human echoed in Michael's mind. That was exactly how he felt. After 2 years living like an automaton, focused only on work, Emily had awakened feelings in him he thought had been buried with Sarah. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. "Jennifer, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "Emily's father, is he in her life?" Jennifer lowered her eyes, touching on the subject that hurt her most. "No. When he found out I was pregnant, he said he wasn't ready to be a father. I never saw him again. Emily sometimes asks about him, but I always tell her he had to travel far away." A quiet anger grew inside Michael. How could anyone abandon a child like Emily? How could anyone throw away the chance to be part of that extraordinary little girl's life? "I'm sorry, Jennifer. Emily is an amazing girl. His loss." "Thank you for saying that," Jennifer said with a sad smile. "Sometimes I wonder if I did something wrong, if I should have chosen better." "You didn't do anything wrong. You raised a wonderful daughter all on your own. That's extraordinary." That conversation marked a turning point in Michael and Jennifer's relationship. For the first time, they saw each other as people beyond their professional roles. Michael began noticing how hard Jennifer worked, how she always kept a smile despite the difficulties, how she raised Emily with so much love and patience. Jennifer, in turn, started seeing Michael not just as the intimidating boss, but as a man who had suffered loss, who battled loneliness, and who was finding in Emily a way to live again. The following weeks brought a comfortable routine. Emily visited Michael daily, always with news from school or little gifts. Michael began learning the details of her life. Her favorite food, her favorite cartoon, her small worries and joys. He also started indirectly taking part in Emily's upbringing. When she mentioned she was having trouble with math, Michael bought age-appropriate workbooks for her. When she said she wanted to learn about dinosaurs, he brought her a complete set of children's encyclopedias. "Mr. Thompson, you're so smart," Emily said one afternoon, flipping through one of the books he had given her. "Why do you say that?" "Because you know about everything, numbers, dinosaurs, how to build buildings. You're almost magic." Michael laughed, a genuine laugh that Rachel later remarked was the first she had heard from him in years. "I'm not magic, Emily. I just like learning new things. Then I want to be just like you when I grow up." Those words touched Michael in a way he hadn't expected. Someone admired him. Someone wanted to be like him, not for his money or success, but for the person Emily saw in him. However, not everything was perfect. The growing closeness between Michael and Emily began to stir whispers among the staff. Some saw it as a positive change, humanizing their boss. Others murmured about the professional implications. "Do you think it's normal for Mr. Thompson to spend so much time with the cleaning lady's daughter?" Jessica from reception commented during coffee. "I do think it's odd," Richard from the legal department replied. "Imagine if every employee started bringing their kids to work." "But haven't you seen how he's changed?" Rachel defended. "Before he was like a ghost walking the halls. Now at least he seems alive." The comments reached Jennifer's ears, and she began to worry about the possible consequences for her job. What if Michael decided the situation was causing too much trouble? What if she got fired for letting her daughter bother the boss? These fears grew when the HR director, Anthony Miller, approached Jennifer for a talk. "Jennifer, I need to speak with you about your daughter." Her heart raced. The moment she had dreaded had finally come. "Yes, Mr. Miller." "Some employees have commented on her presence in Mr. Thompson's office. You understand this could set a problematic precedent?" "I understand, sir. I'll talk to Emily and ask her not to bother Mr. Thompson anymore." "Actually," Anthony hesitated, "Mr. Thompson asked me not to interfere. He said Emily is welcome in his office. I'm just warning you to be mindful of the talk this might cause." Jennifer was surprised. Had Michael defended Emily's presence even when pressured by his own employees? That night, while helping Emily with her homework, Jennifer decided to test her daughter's feelings about Michael. "Emily, what do you think of Mr. Thompson?" "He's the best." The little girl's eyes sparkled. "He gives me treats, teaches me new things, and never gets mad at me." "What if one day Mr. Thompson couldn't spend time with you anymore? How would you feel?" Emily grew thoughtful, and Jennifer saw a shadow of sadness cross her face. "I'd be really sad, Mommy, but I don't think Mr. Thompson would ever do that to me. He really likes me." Emily's innocent trust made Jennifer's heart ache. What if the girl was right? What if Michael truly cared about her? But what if she was wrong? How much would Emily suffer if this relationship ended abruptly? These doubts were temporarily set aside when an unexpected event changed everything. During a board of directors meeting, Emily walked into Michael's office as she always did. But this time, 5 serious men were discussing numbers and spreadsheets. "Mr. Thompson," she ran to him, completely ignoring the other men in the room. Michael was torn between embarrassment and affection. The company's directors, men he had known for years, looked surprised at the scene. "I'm sorry," Michael began to explain, but Emily climbed onto his lap before he could finish his sentence. "You don't have to stop working because of me," she said, settling onto his lap as if it were her usual spot. "I can be very quiet." The silence in the room was deafening. Michael felt all his business strategies slipping from his mind as Emily quietly played with the buttons on his suit. Then something extraordinary happened. Instead of asking Emily to leave, Michael continued the meeting with her on his lap. He spoke about growth projections, market analysis, and future strategies, while the little girl silently drew on a piece of paper he had given her. The directors, initially shocked, began to relax when they realized Michael hadn't lost his professional focus. In fact, he seemed calmer and more articulate than usual. "Michael," said Edward Wilson, the company's most senior financial director, May I make a personal observation? Of course, Edward. In 15 years of working together, I've never seen you so balanced. I don't know what's changed, but whatever it is, it's working. Michael looked down at Emily, who had fallen asleep on his lap during the investment discussion. At that moment, he realized something fundamental. Emily wasn't just a pleasant distraction in his professional life. She had become an essential part of who he was becoming. After the meeting, with Emily still asleep, Michael found himself reflecting on Edward's comment. It was true. He felt more balanced, more focused, more complete. But what did that mean? Was he betraying Sarah's memory by finding purpose in life again? These thoughts were interrupted when Emily woke up and looked at him with her big, sleepy eyes. "Mr. Thompson, will you be here tomorrow?" "I will, Emily." "Why?" "Because I made a surprise for you at home. Mommy helped me." "What kind of surprise?" "I can't tell you." "Then it won't be a surprise anymore," she laughed, climbing down from his lap. "But you'll really like it." As Emily ran off to find Jennifer, Michael realized that for the first time in 2 years, he was looking forward to the next day. Not because of an important meeting or a challenging project, but because a 5-year-old had prepared a surprise for him. The next morning, Michael arrived at the office earlier than usual, eager to see what Emily's surprise was. But the hours passed, and she didn't show up. Around noon, worried, he went looking for Jennifer. "Jennifer, is everything all right with Emily? Yesterday she said she had a surprise for me." Jennifer seemed embarrassed. "Actually, Mr. Thompson, she woke up with a fever today. She's at home, resting." "A fever? Is it serious?" The genuine concern in Michael's voice surprised Jennifer. "No, just a cold, but I thought it best not to bring her today." "Of course you did the right thing. She needs to rest." Michael returned to his office, but couldn't focus on work. He caught himself staring at the chair where Emily usually sat, at the toys he had stored in his drawer, at her drawings he had discreetly pinned to the board behind his desk. Around 4 in the afternoon, he made an impulsive decision. He called Jennifer. "Jennifer, could you give me your address? I'd like to bring some medicine for Emily." "That's not necessary, Mr. Thompson. It's just a cold." "Please, Jennifer, let me help." There was something in Michael's voice that made Jennifer realize he needed to do this, not for Emily, but for himself. "All right. I live at 234 Maple Street, apartment 15. An hour later, Michael was standing in front of a modest, lower-middle-class building, carrying a bag with children's medicine, ready-made soup, and a few toys. For the first time in years, he was visiting someone's home for non-professional reasons. Jennifer opened the door, surprised to see him there. "Mr. Thompson, you didn't have to go out of your way." "It's no trouble. How's Emily?" "Better. The fever's gone down, but she's still a little tired." Michael stepped into the small but cozy apartment. It was clean, organized, and filled with signs of Emily everywhere. Drawings on the fridge, toys neatly arranged in a corner of the living room, children's books stacked on a side table. "Mr. Michael," Emily's weak voice came from the bedroom. "Hi, Emily. How are you feeling?" "Better now that you're here," she smiled, even though she was pale with a red nose. Michael sat on the edge of her bed, touched by the simplicity of the room. A small bed with flower-patterned sheets, a few stuffed animals, and walls covered in drawings she had made. "I brought some things to help you feel better faster," he said, showing her the medicine and toys. "Thank you." Emily tried to sit up to hug him, but Michael gently stopped her. "Stay lying down. You need rest to get better soon." "Mr. Michael, do you want to see my surprise, even though I'm sick?" "Of course." Emily asked Jennifer to grab something from under the bed. It was an album made of stapled printer paper, the cover decorated with glitter and the words "Our Moments," written in crooked but heartfelt letters. "Mommy helped me make it," Emily explained, flipping through the pages. Each page had a drawing of her with Michael, the two of them smiling, him in a suit and her small beside him. A picture of his office with them playing together, him giving her treats. Michael turned each page slowly, feeling a lump in his throat. At the end of the album, there was a special page with a different drawing. It showed 3 figures, A tall woman, a man in a suit, and a little girl, all holding hands. "This is me, you, and Mommy," Emily explained. "Like a family." The silence that followed was heavy with emotion. Michael looked at Jennifer, who was leaning against the bedroom door with teary eyes. He looked back at the drawing, where Emily had captured what might have been her greatest wish, to have a complete family. "Emily," Michael's voice came out rougher than he intended, "this is the most beautiful gift I've ever received." "Really? Really?" Emily smiled and finally managed to sit up to hug him. Michael wrapped his arms around her, breathing in the scent of children's shampoo in her hair, feeling the warmth of her small body, and for the first time since Sarah left, he allowed himself to feel a full and genuine paternal love. When Emily lay back down, Michael followed Jennifer to the living room. "Jennifer, I need to tell you something." "Yes?" "Emily changed my life. I didn't know I needed her until she walked into my office with that melted popsicle. And now I don't know how to live without these daily visits, without her drawings, without her smiles." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Jennifer listened in silence, sensing the emotional sincerity in every word. "Mr. Thompson, can I be honest with you? Please." "Emily talks about you all the time. To her, you're not just Mommy's boss, you're the father figure she never had. And I'm torn between being happy to see her so joyful and afraid that one day this will end and she'll be hurt." Michael understood Jennifer's fears perfectly. He had struggled with similar feelings himself. "Jennifer, can I make you a promise? I would never do anything to hurt Emily. If she has become important to me, it's forever. It's not just a whim or a phase." "How can I be sure of that?" Michael thought for a moment, searching for the right words. "Because for the first time in 2 years, I wake up in the morning wanting to face the day. Because when I'm with Emily, I remember who I was before I became just a businessman. Because she gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever, the ability to love without fear." Those words deeply touched Jennifer. She had noticed the changes in Michael, but hearing his direct confession was different. "And what does this mean for us?" she asked hesitantly. "It means I'd like to be part of Emily's life in an official way. I don't know exactly how, but I want her to know she can always count on me." "Mr. Thompson, please just call me Michael. We're friends, aren't we?" Jennifer smiled, feeling a barrier between them coming down. "Yes, we are friends." That night, after Michael left, Jennifer kept thinking about their conversation. For the first time in 5 years, she found herself imagining a different future for her and Emily, a future where they wouldn't be alone. Michael also spent the night reflecting. For the first time since Sarah's passing, he allowed himself to imagine a future that included other people. Not that it meant forgetting Sarah, she would always be a fundamental part of who he was. But maybe it was possible to honor her memory by living fully again. The next morning, Emily was feeling better and insisted on going to work with her mother. Michael greeted her with a special smile and spent much of the day playing with her, even cancelling a meeting just to listen to Emily recount a funny dream she'd had. "Mr. Michael," Emily said that afternoon, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, you can ask me anything." "Why don't you have kids?" The question, asked with the innocence typical of children, caught Michael off guard. He stayed silent for a few seconds, searching for the right answer. "Sarah and I wanted children, but we didn't have time for that," he finally said. "But you like kids, right? Because you like me." "I like kids very much, and I like you very much." "Then you could adopt a child, like my teacher at school did." Emily's suggestion struck Michael like lightning. Adoption. Why had he never thought of that? Of course, he had vaguely considered having children with Sarah, but after she was gone, the idea had completely disappeared. "That's an interesting idea, Emily." "Or you could adopt me," she said excitedly. "I'd love to be your real daughter." Michael felt his heart tighten. The simplicity with which Emily expressed her feelings was both touching and revealing. She truly saw him as a father figure. Emily, these are very important decisions that involve your mother too. Mommy likes you a lot. She's always happy when she talks about you. How do you know that? Because she smiles differently when she talks about you. It's the same smile she has when she gets a gift. Emily's sharp observation made Michael think about Jennifer in a new way. Could it be that she had developed feelings for him? And more importantly, what did he feel for her? In the days that followed, Michael began paying more attention to Jennifer. He noticed how she always kept her hair neat even while cleaning, how her eyes lit up when she talked about Emily, how she treated everyone with kindness and respect. Jennifer, in turn, also began seeing Michael differently. She observed how gentle he was with Emily, how his laughter had become more frequent, how he asked about little details of their lives that showed genuine interest. The subtle tension between them grew stronger during an unexpected situation. On a rainy afternoon, Jennifer slipped while cleaning one of the rooms and twisted her ankle. Michael, who was leaving a meeting, saw her on the floor and immediately rushed to help her. "Jennifer, are you okay?" "I think I twisted my foot," she said, pain evident in her voice. Without a second thought, Michael helped her up and supported her to a chair. Then he knelt in front of her to examine her ankle. "It's swelling. You need ice and to see a doctor." "It's not necessary, Michael. It's just a mild sprain." "I won't take no for an answer. I'm taking you to the hospital." "But what about Emily? She's at school. We'll pick her up later. Your health is more important." Michael's care touched Jennifer deeply. For years, no one had worried about her like that. She was always the one taking care of everyone, Emily, her employers, others, but never someone taking care of her. At the hospital, while waiting for the X-ray results, Michael held Jennifer's hand in a gesture of support. It was then she realized her feelings for him had grown beyond professional admiration or gratitude for his kindness toward Emily. "Michael," she said softly, "thank you for all this." "No need to thank me. It's the least I can do for you two. For us two. You've become important to me. Very important." The moment was interrupted when the doctor returned with the results. Just a mild sprain, but it required rest for a few days. Michael insisted on driving Jennifer and Emily home, and the next day, he showed up with groceries so they wouldn't have to go out. "Mr. Thompson came to visit us." Emily was thrilled to see him at the door. "I came to check on your mommy and bring you a few things." During that visit, while Emily played in her room, Michael and Jennifer talked more deeply than ever before. They spoke about their childhoods, abandoned dreams, and how life had taken unexpected turns. "You know, Jennifer, before meeting you two, I had resigned myself to living only for work. I thought that was all that was left for me. And now? Now I see it's possible to start over, even when we think it's too late." "It's never too late to be happy," Jennifer said. "I learned that from Emily. Children teach us that every day is a new opportunity." That conversation marked the beginning of a new phase in their relationship. Michael started visiting them regularly, always with practical excuses, helping Emily with homework, bringing medicine for Jennifer, checking if they needed anything. Emily watched everything with a child's sharpness, growing more hopeful that her wish for a complete family might come true. The changes at the company also intensified. Michael implemented a family-friendly workplace policy, setting up a small play area near his office for when Emily or other employees' children needed to stay at work. "Mr. Thompson," Rachel said one morning, "the employees are speaking very positively about the changes in the company. The work environment has improved a lot." "That's good to hear, Rachel. Happy people work better." "May I make a personal observation?" "Of course. You seem to have found your happiness too. It's beautiful to see." Michael smiled, thinking how right Rachel was. He had found a happiness he didn't even know was possible after Sarah. However, not everyone viewed the changes favorably. Some long-time clients began questioning whether Michael had lost focus on business. There were even unkind remarks about his relationship with Jennifer and Emily. "Michael," Edward said during a private meeting, "some investors are concerned about the changes in your business approach." "What kind of concern?" "They think you've become too emotional, that you might be losing the objectivity needed to lead the company." Michael reflected on the comment. It was true that his priorities had changed. Before, he would stay at the office until late, simply because he had nowhere to go. Now he left early to spend time with Emily and Jennifer. Before, he made decisions based solely on numbers. Now he also considered the human impact of his choices. Edward, the company is achieving the best results of the last 3 years. Productivity has increased, the work environment has improved, and our reputation in the market has never been better. If this is the result of me being more emotional, then it's a positive change. You're right, the numbers don't lie. But be prepared to face resistance from some of the more conservative sectors. The resistance came in an unexpected way. During a meeting with the board of directors at the company's headquarters, the chairman of the holding made direct comments about Michael's personal distractions. Michael, I've always admired your professional dedication, but lately there have been comments about your new family situation. I hope this doesn't interfere with your performance. My family situation, as you put it, has made me a better leader, more human, more balanced, more efficient. I understand your point of view. Just make sure you remain the ruthless businessman we know. That conversation left Michael unsettled. Would he have to choose between being a successful businessman and being a whole person? Could he reconcile both? His doubts grew when a major deal he had been negotiating for months was cancelled by the client, citing changes in the company's leadership profile. Mr. Thompson, Rachel informed him with concern. Mr. Andrew Foster cancelled the contract for the commercial complex. He said he no longer feels comfortable with the new direction of the company. Michael was shaken. It was a $15 million contract, one of the biggest of the year. The loss meant not just money, but jobs and the trust of other clients. That evening, when Emily appeared in his office with a new drawing, Michael couldn't muster his usual enthusiasm. Mr. Thompson, are you sad today? A little, Emily. I had a tough day at work. Do you want to talk about it? Mommy always says that when we talk about bad things, they feel less bad. Michael smiled, despite his worry. Emily's simple wisdom always surprised him. Some people think I've changed too much, Emily, that I'm not the same man I used to be. But you changed for the better. Before, you were always sad. Now you smile, play with me, and take care of Mommy. How could that be bad? Sometimes in the grown-up world, people prefer us to stay the same. Emily thought for a moment. Mr. Thompson, do you know what Mommy taught me about butterflies? What? That they used to be caterpillars, but they turned into something much more beautiful. And no one is sad the caterpillar is gone because the butterfly is so much better. Emily's childish metaphor struck Michael like a bolt of clarity. He had transformed, yes. He had stopped being the bitter, lonely caterpillar and become someone capable of loving and being loved again. Why would that be a bad thing? Emily, you're very wise for just 5 years old. Mommy always says that, she laughed. Mr. Thompson, you won't let those mean people make you sad again, will you? No, Emily, I won't let them. That night, Michael made an important decision. He called Edward. Edward, call a meeting with the entire board of directors for tomorrow. I have something important to say. The next morning, Michael entered the meeting room with a conviction he hadn't felt in years. The company's 5 directors waited for him, some with worried expressions. Gentlemen, began Michael, there have been recent questions about the changes in my personal and professional demeanor. I'm here to clarify a few points. Michael, if this is about the cancelled contract, Edward started. It's about that and much more, Michael interrupted. For the past 2 years, this company was led by an empty, bitter man who worked only to escape his own life. That man made decisions based solely on numbers, treated employees like machines, and saw clients only as sources of profit. The board members listened in silence. In recent months, that man has changed. He's learned to value people again, to balance professional success with personal fulfillment, to lead with humanity as well as efficiency. And do you know what the result has been? Michael presented a series of charts and reports. Productivity has increased by 23%. Employee turnover has dropped by 45%. Client satisfaction has reached the highest level in the company's history. Net profit has grown by 31% in 6 months. These are the results of the man some call less focused. Michael, said Wilson, impressed by the numbers, these results are truly exceptional. And they were achieved because I learned that a true leader isn't a money-making machine. He's someone who inspires people, who creates an environment where everyone wants to give their best, who understands that sustainable success comes from harmony between personal and professional life. Michael paused, looking at each of the board members. If you prefer the bitter, empty man from 2 years ago, then you've chosen the wrong leader. Because that man was heading toward an emotional collapse that would have destroyed not just him, but the entire company. Nobody is questioning your results, Michael, said Ferguson, the operations director. But some clients who can't accept that a businessman can also be a complete human being. Gentlemen, we lost a contract, that's true. But we've gained a stronger, more humane company, better prepared for the future. And personally, I've found a reason to live that goes beyond spreadsheets and reports. The room fell into deep silence. Finally, Edward spoke. Michael, on behalf of all of us, I can say we fully support your leadership. The changes you've made have transformed not just the company, but all of us. Keep being exactly who you are now. Michael left the meeting with a sense of victory that wasn't just about work. He had defended not only his professional position, but his life's choice. When he reached his office, he found Emily quietly drawing at his desk while Jennifer organized some papers. "How was the meeting?" Jennifer asked, noticing Michael's satisfied expression. "It was perfect. I discovered it's possible to be a good businessman and a happy person at the same time." "Of course it is," Emily said, looking up from her drawing. "Mr. Michael, do you want to see what I drew today?" "Of course, Emily." The drawing showed Michael's company, but this time there were many smiling people in front of the building. In the center were Michael, Jennifer, and Emily holding hands. "This is the building where you work, but now it's a happy place because you're happy," she explained. Michael looked at the drawing, then at Emily, then at Jennifer. At that moment, he realized he hadn't just found a new family, he'd found a new version of himself. A better, more complete, more human version. "Emily," he said, kneeling to her level, "can I ask you a very important question?" "Of course. How would you feel if I asked your mommy to marry me?" The silence that followed was absolute. Emily looked at Michael, then at Jennifer, then back at Michael. "Really?" she asked, her eyes shining. "Really?" Emily let out a joyful scream and threw herself into Michael's arms. "Was I going to have a real dad? And were you going to get married like in the movies?" "If your mom says yes, then yes." Emily ran to Jennifer and pushed her toward Michael. "Mommy, say yes, please, say yes." Jennifer was in shock. She knew her feelings for Michael had grown, but she never expected a marriage proposal. "Michael, are you sure about this?" "I've never been more sure in my life, Jennifer. I love you. I love Emily. I want to build a family with both of you." "Mommy, do you love Mr. Thompson?" Emily asked with the curiosity only a child could have. Jennifer looked at Michael, seeing not just the successful man, but the caring partner, the devoted father Emily deserved, the man who had brought light back into her life. "Yes, Emily, I love Mr. Thompson." "Then marry him." Emily clapped her hands, overjoyed. Michael knelt before Jennifer, holding her hands. "Jennifer, will you marry me? Will you let us be a real family?" Tears streamed down Jennifer's face as she nodded. "Yes, Michael, I will." Emily screamed with joy and hugged them both, creating a scene Rachel watched from the doorway with misty eyes. "Now I'm gonna have a daddy," Emily sang, dancing around the room. "And I'll have 2 wonderful women in my life," Michael said, embracing Jennifer. "And I'll have a partner to share my life with," Jennifer added. The end of the story. Now tell me, what did you think of this story of love and new beginnings? Do you believe Michael made the right choice by opening his heart again? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other touching stories. Thank you so much for being here.